And so to the presentation to our eighth and final inductee. Please welcome our most recent legend of Australian sport. She's a national living treasure. She is Raelene Boyle, AM, MBE. Our final inductee, the Queen in the Sport of Kings.
Fiorente wins the Melbourne Cup of 2013, and the Queen of the Turf shares her greatest moment with her rapturous crowd. Gai Waterhouse had become the first Australian woman to train the winner of the nation's most famous race, the Melbourne Cup.
Fiorente by neck, Oliver's lifting him, and Fiorente won the Melbourne Cup for Gai. Ritcano second, and Ethos third.
For the First Lady of Australian racing, this was the culmination of a trailblazing career, following her long battle to break the glass ceiling and be registered as a horse trainer.
So I'm so thankful for all the people that come up to me every day and say, good luck, Gai.
The only daughter of legendary trainer TJ Smith, this one-time actress worked with her father for 15 years before she was finally granted a licence by the Australian Jockey Club. She inherited her father's flamboyant style and supreme confidence, and enjoyed immediate success, with nothing like a day in winning the Victoria Derby, and then finishing a gallant second in the Melbourne Cup. Gai won the Sydney Premiership in the 1996-97 season, with 10 wins at racing's highest level, Group 1. She quickly became the most recognisable personality in racing and has won most of Australia's biggest races many times. She has won 7 Sydney Trainers Premierships, and her horses have saluted in more than 130 Group 1 races. In 2007, she was inducted into the Australian Racing Hall of Fame, joining her father, who was an inaugural inductee. She was awarded the Australian Sports Medal and is recognised by the National Trust as an Australian Living Treasure. Gai Waterhouse is inducted into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame as a general member for the sport of horse racing. Gai and her dad TJ become the first father and daughter members of the Sport Australia Hall of Fame.
Please welcome into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame, the First Lady of Racing, Gai Waterhouse.
I do. We've dropped the water.
You'll be right.
What have you got in there?
Pardon?
We haven't got much in there. What have you got over here? Not got much in there either. Whoops!
Hotel key, I think it is. Gai, can you believe it? The only father and daughter to be inducted into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame. The only one.
It's amazing when you stand up here and when you started this afternoon when we were together, all the inductees, you just feel so humbled and so tiny in your own little sport when there's so many greats here. Each one of you that are here tonight, and I watched you all on the stage, you're such champions. And then when they played the national anthem, oh, the tears. You know, I'm just so proud of Australia. I'm so proud to be part of it tonight.
Well, you deserve it. Don't worry about that. What was it like? I want to go back. What was it like growing up with a famous dad? And he was famous. He was confident. He was out there. And you are a chip off the old block. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I am a bit of a chip off the old block. I wish I brought my tissue. That's all I wish I had.
Someone got a hanky or something we can give her.
Look, Dad was the most amazing person.
Thanks, Dave.
He'd come from, thank you, you're a marvellous man. He'd come from very, very, very poor circumstances. He went to school, had to ride 10 miles to get there on the pony. And after the first day, the teacher said, you know, Tommy, he said, you're late, you know, and he gave him a thrashing. So Dad said, well, I won't be coming back again. He jumped out the window and ran off. And years later at Caulfield, the teacher came up and said, oh, Tommy, Mummy, great to see you. And Dad, in no uncertain terms, told me to go and jump. But Dad had a great philosophy, and he said, if you're going to do something, do it well. Don't. And that's, I think, what most of us were saying, that you've got to have mentors. And when my father passed away 20 years ago, I've been lucky enough that when my husband came into my life, my father said to me, "The only decent man you brought home." And he's been with me nearly 40 years, Rob. And, we're a great partnership.
No, that's fantastic. I still want to stay back in the early days for a moment. As a little girl, what were your dreams? Because you did a bit of acting, didn't you?
Well, my dreams, I used to sit on a toy box, and I used to have George Moore's whip as a clutch, and I had a tennis racket. I wish I could say it was Ken Rosewell's, but it wasn't. And I used to dream about, because an only child, if any of you are here tonight, they do put us into space. We're one-offs. And of course, I had a very vivid imagination. And anyway, when I went to school, I left school and I auditioned for NIDA. And I got into NIDA, and I said to Dad, I'll never forget opening the thing in the envelope with my mum in the car. And I said to Mum, "Oh, this is so wonderful. This is all I want to do is to act." And of course, I got home that afternoon and I showed Dad the letter, and he said, "You're not doing that." He said, "It's full of poofs." He said, "You're not doing that." And that was the end of that.
Yep. I don't know that we can say that nowadays, but anyway.
No.
It's in-house, it doesn't matter. You've been, on a serious note, Gay, you've been a pioneer, basically shattering the glass ceiling, but do you think it still exists?
I think it exists in many things, but I don't worry about it, because I just go on about my way and get on with things. People say, "Oh, you're a lady trainer." I say, "No, I'm a horse trainer. What are you talking about? I might be I might be a wife, I might be a mother, I'm a woman, but I'm not a lady trainer, no."
Fiorente won a Melbourne Cup for you. Is it life-changing, winning a Melbourne Cup?
Well, I was told by another Melbourne Cup trainer, Mark Kavanagh, a few years back, he said, "It changed my life, Kay." And I thought, that's a funny thing to say. Why would he say that? But after winning the Melbourne Cup, and we've got Amanda and the crew from the VRC here tonight. Give us a wave. There they are. Yes. I saw Dane Edna the other night, so I know all about that.
Oh, great.
Anyway,
Did
it
you need
does.
a tissue that night? Did you need a tissue that night?
Oh, he's wonderful.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've got off the track a
But
smidgen.
anyway, it is amazing. I went around all over New South Wales and through Victoria after winning the cup, and I had my little trainer's cup, which is quite considerable size now. When Dad won it, they didn't give you a cup, and then they gave retrospective cups, remember? And they were about this big, but now they're about this size. They're fabulous. And the big one, the real thing, is about this big. Yeah. Anyway, every single person wants to see it. And when the lady from the Northern Territory, she won the cup with a horse, and she took it all through the countryside and all the way up to the Northern Territory. People know about this race. There's 152 years of history behind it. Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful race.
Gay, when you look at the calendar, is there a favourite race that stands above all others for you? Melbourne Cup aside, what your favourite race?
Well, the two races I most love to win are the Melbourne Cup, and we're trying to win a second. We don't have a strong chance this year, and the Golden Slipper. Because the Golden Slipper epitomises the youth in Australia. And it's about young horses, 2-year-olds, and that's what makes Australia so great. You look at these young people that come up here tonight. What a beautiful thing, the young guy driving the car, he's still at school, and the young man that's, has trouble with his eyes, they're just champions, and that's where the whole of Australia is. We're a young nation still, and we've got so much to offer.
You've given us so much over many, many years. Is there anything left that you would like to achieve in the sport?
well, to make Adrian a great, successful trainer. That's my next Group 1 performance. Adrian Bott, come on, give us a wave.
Getting a lot of Cheerios tonight.
Oh, I love you.
Anyway, I think main course is ready.
Gosh, I have already eaten mine because my energy dropped down, so I had to ask for it early.
But it's been fantastic to speak. It's been fantastic to speak with you, and you are very, very a worthy inclusion into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame. Well done, Gai. Well done. Congratulations.